There's a place called Ivory Garden. It's a digital embrace for the souls with the finding solace, time, and space. They dispel all the myths, educate the minds. The mission's clear and bright, it's a safe haven bridge. The shadow name appeared in stories far and wide of fictional empires where characters would hide, or names in Congress, a different seers, a different king. No connection to Lori, no truth the echoes bring. The strange death whispers from movies on a screen, not the quiet passing of a life serene. In October 2015, a quiet day it seems. Lori Ann Sears King, she passed beyond our dreams. Her obituary filled with words so kind and true, compassionate, good friend, remarkable, a loving view. No hint of mystery, no question in the air, just heart-filled sorrow, a community shared prayer. There's a place called Ivory Garden. It's a digital embrace for the souls with died, finding solace, time, and space. They dispel all the myths, educate the minds. The mission's clear and bright, it's a safe haven bridge. The shadow name appeared in stories far and wide of fictional empires where characters would hide, or names in Congress. A different seers, a different king, but no connection to Lori, no truth the echoes bring. The strange death whispers from movies on a screen, not the quiet passing of a life serene. In October 2015, a quiet day it seems. Lori Ann Sears King, she passed beyond our dreams. Her obituary filled with words so kind and true, compassionate, good friend, remarkable, a loving view. No hint of mystery, no question in the air, just heartfelt sorrow, a community shared prayer.
All right. Welcome. I didn't mean to cough right there. Welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2025. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm just chilling out, doing stuff this morning. This I did a here's what's happening with Not My Rabbit Hole. Just so you know. I ran a stream this morning. It was a restream of the stream that I originally did on Friday at noon with Electro Pig Von fucking Grooven. And we talked about med beds and pretty much disputed it. I did a real deep dive research into med beds, and then I found the super soldiers that were people that claimed to be super soldiers in the super soldier community. The people that claimed to be super soldiers were actually selling med beds. Yes, they're selling med beds and electronic devices under the banner of med beds, basically. So anyway, I restreamed some of that in the beginning. I don't know if anybody's listening to me right now. I haven't really. That's not a very good start, really. I don't have it's not a very good strong start. Good, nobody's here. Nobody's here listening to what I'm saying. It's like, coughing and blah 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 blah. I thought I was going to have a stronger start than that, but it's Sunday. Who cares, right? It's not like I'm, gonna repurpose this video anywhere else, really. This is kind of like, in a way, this is just sort of a Sunday fun day. Look into David Shurter and his allegations of the Ivory Gardens. He's been going on and on and on in his diatribe, and you know what? If you don't know David Shurter, I mean, this is if this is the first time that you've started to tune in to Not My Rabbit Hole, because I realize I have new subscribers now, and so welcome to the show. If you happen to see this video or any of my videos, if you come into my live streams, let me know what brought you. If you're new, let me know what brought you to Not My Rabbit Hole. Is it that I'm talking about med beds? Is it that I'm talking about UFO stuff? Is it about Sarah Rachel Adams? Are you someone who knew me from a long time ago? However, I mean, are you researching Terry Joyce the comedian? Because there's a lot of reasons why people come to Not My Rabbit Hole, and we're kind of a boutique channel. I don't know. I'm saying we're kind of a boutique channel. There is no we're. It's basically just me. I am everything behind Not My Rabbit Hole. That means the songs that are being created, the posts that happen, the uploads, the edits, the live streams, the research. I'm pretty much a one-man band. And if you are unfamiliar with me just in general, I'm a stand-up comedian. I worked professionally for many years, and I was actually on a reality television show. I'm a former reality television star, and my big claim to fame is that I'm a finalist on the first season of Last Comic Standing. That's kind of like where, in terms of television professionalism with stand-up comedy so far, that's my peak. Okay. I still do perform on a I mean, here and there, mainly locally. I did do some work up in some casinos up in California, up north. I used to, tour professionally all the time. And then I decided to get a degree in digital journalism. I just recently attained my Bachelor of Arts from Fresno State. So that was exciting. And now, matter of fact, next week I return back to college. I'm going for an MFA in creative nonfiction writing. I also tutor biology, anthropology, and I am a senior reporter for the Collegian this next semester. So I'll be reporting and writing for the paper. So I'm starting a new job in that aspect as well. So I'm basically going back to school, starting a new job. And this summer, I just wanted to do some videos and get my YouTube channel going again. And as you can see, there's been a lot of different changes here at Not My Rabbit Hole. I've changed the look of the channel, my banner, the picture that I'm using. You see that I have new thumbnails that I'm doing, and I'm taking this channel seriously. I'm wanting to provide content, hopefully, that you will be interested in. The reason why I talk about UFOs and paranormal and this kind of and then I get into conspiracies and questioning pharmaceutical companies and things like this is because I have been an advocate for cannabis legalization, and also did a lot of work in the medical aspect of it with medical cannabis, and was very much an advocate for patients' rights back in, let's say, I think I started doing that around in 2006, 2007. So I've done a lot of community work that way, primarily in the Los Angeles area. So I'm a media person. I've been doing online media and several different types of online radio shows, platforms, from Time for Hemp to the Hollywood Hempers Show on New Dissident Radio, to the Liberty Beacon. I was on that network for a while. I have been on Revolution Radio and America Freedom Radio, and shows that question government, the institution, and within all of this, I've witnessed a lot of how certain belief systems and things that have been said in what we used to call the truth media has actually really right now affected American politics. And I think, like, right now, as a media person, as a journalist, as an entertainer, comedian, a writer, I have a Substack, by the way. It's Terry Joyce Randolph at Terry Joyce Randolph on Substack. I just started writing. I got a Substack just because I am doing work. I am hired as a senior reporter, but also I'm doing, I'm studying. My master's is creative nonfiction, so I'm starting to just write. Just do my own thing, have my own presence. Even in the journalism business, a lot of journalists who may work for publications have their own presence. And I'm seeing a trend of a lot of them having Substacks. Substack actually is a new booming medium. It's got all kinds of different applications that I like, whereas YouTube is mainly just a video streaming platform. Anyway, so here I intersect with a guy named David Shurter. If you're not familiar with David Shurter, and I know this might be redundant for certain people, that could listen to this and go, okay, Terry, just get the point I'm here. What's up with David Shurter? What did he do now? Because there's this ping pong back and forth between different YouTubers who are being I say attacked by David. Like, David is just pushing out stories and allegations of child trafficking and pornography and things like this, and saying that we are involved with it. We're also involved with stealing his Social Security, killing one of his best friends. We're also involved with the death of Isaac Cappy, who was very much associated to the 17th letter of the alphabet when he talked about what he did, which was also, he discussed Epstein like a lot of other people have. And certain stories of satanic ritual abuse, that a lot of them were actually questionable and pretty much debunked. So Isaac Cappy, right? I know that I feel bad when I say Isaac Cappy. It's like I feel like people are going to come and go, oh, he's like a hero to people because he risked his life in Hollywood for coming out and saying these things. Well, so did Mel Gibson. Okay, I mean, but Mel Gibson's still alive and still making movies, so go figure, right? It's the way in which you come out with certain information about an issue that's happening with children. It's the way you do it, right? The problem, and I've said this, and I'll say this again. I'll always say this, and coming from now that I have a degree in digital journalism, I will say that Isaac Cappy made allegations without having any evidence or any proof or there was no receipt to what he was talking about. And there was no way of having a real, like being able to validate his claims about, let's say, Seth Green, because everything is just his own testimony. And unfortunately, I mean, look what's happening surrounding Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and everything. Like, do you really think that, I mean, people are questioning what like they're still looking at evidence, there's still questions, they're still arguing, they're still demanding, there's still there's all this stuff going on. So when it comes to like proving something as really happening and really have taken place, you've got to source real things, real articles. I mean, look what happened with Michael Jackson. There's still people talking about Michael Jackson, whether or not he was guilty or not, even though we've seen a documentary come out where the victims have come out and said that they were a victim of Michael Jackson. I still see people posting like, oh, well, Jim Carrey said that it wasn't. Well, you know what? Who cares what Jim Carrey says? Was Jim Carrey there? The point is that you have to deal in the real world, and David Shurter does not deal in the real world. And today we're going to explore that a little bit farther. We are. I looked in to see David Shurter. The thing, okay, I want to talk about the Ivory Garden. In David Shurter's library, I don't know if he bullet points what he's going to say every day or what, but there's a list of people that he continually says tropes about. He blurts them out in his diatribe of how victimized he is and how legitimate the satanic ritual abuse is. And he throws these people's names out there as being the victims. Okay, one is, okay, obviously Max Spears, Isaac Cappy, Tracy Twyman, and then he talks about a woman named Lori King. And he goes on about this Ivory Garden, and it, says that it was a satanic ritual abuse place, for survivors. And they had these trauma conferences, and Lori King had a mysterious death. He even, and this is something that I recently showed here on Not My Rabbit Hole. I went to his interview with Vanessa Bates, who is Max Spears' mother, who's someone that he says is a survivor of satanic ritual abuse and lumped in with him because he was telling people the truth about this, which is not accurate, really. Like, Max Spears, we're going to talk about Max Spears. He was known and in the public has been written about as a UFO researcher. And he also was under the banner of the Super Soldier program, which he didn't like to be called. So that's a whole different world than the things that David Shurter is saying and identifies himself with. His history, which happens to be false memories, they're not real, which is typical of people that claim satanic ritual abuse. By no means, guys, just I want to be really clear. I am not saying that this doesn't exist, and I in no means do I mean to be insulting to other survivors or any survivor of any type of abuse. My problem is here in Not My Rabbit Hole, and this is what we look at in Not My Rabbit Hole, right? What I look at in Not My Rabbit Hole, what we're going to look at in Not My Rabbit Hole is how people are lying about that. How people have taken something and weaponized it in order to, I don't know, get gratuitous donations, constantly in need, whatever the reason is, which, if you're really going to like look at David Shurter, he's a complex ball to look at. Because, wow, I'm so amazed at a lot of the videos that are coming out now. And you know what, we're gonna take a look at them here in a bit. Some of the videos. I did a deep dive into the Ivory Garden and the players and what it exactly is, who Lori King who was, and there's a possibility that there's really no substantial link that she was even part of that place, of Ivory Garden. There's a Pat Goodwin link, which is Felicity, which is the lady who has a restraining order on David. But there is no real link between David, Lori King, even, or the fact that Lori King is even involved with Ivory Gardens. And we'll get back with that in just a second.
He ain't no Saint Germain, no crime, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole.
Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna welcome back to Not My Rabbit Hole, and we're gonna start out, just kind of warm us up here. We're gonna start out with a clip from a website. It's called on YouTube. It's called Documenting David Shurter, and what's interesting here in this one is that David Shurter is talking to a guy named Daniel John Lee, who was part of a lawsuit with Craig Sawyer, and was sued for similar stuff that David Shurter's doing right now. Was and David Shurter is saying these things about Craig Sawyer, but it was a lawsuit for defamation, for saying that he was a child trafficker, all of the things that David Shurter's rhetoric is on his channel lately. I mean, the names that he says, right? Like all of us, the litany. And I'll go through the names just to like throw it out there. I know I'm on the list. I get mentioned, I don't know, 2-3 times a week, whatever. I mean, there's rarely a video that he doesn't include me. And basically, apparently all I'm doing, I'm in Vegas with barely legal porn people. It's like, that's all I do. Like, forget about like the fact that I, worked really hard to get a degree, and, I'm working 2 jobs and everything like that, and take care of a cat. Apparently, all I do is hang out with people from barely legal in Vegas. So, and even that accusation, let's say I was just some sort of jet setter, all right? And all I did was hang out with barely legal people in Vegas. And, and I don't know how I would be paying my rent. I mean, I guess, like, according to David Shurter, I'm trafficking children, and I'm actually one of the worker bees underneath Jeffrey Epstein, right? Okay. Well, you know what? I've got some student loans to pay, and I would say clearly that would be evidence that I wasn't traipsing off to Vegas every weekend. And no matter how fun it would be to live your life with, barely legal porn people, but I don't. So, and really that whole diatribe or even like conversation didn't really originate from David. It originated from some other sources that there are, legal filings and lawsuits around. So, which I'm not mentioning their names, but there's a whole nother camp of people that were pulling that out of their hat, and, starting to prop it up. So, when you talk about David not having and being able to say anything original, he really doesn't have anything to say original, including his stories. Like here, he's talking about how he was at Bohemian Grove, and then Antonin Scalia art him as a child in Nebraska. And this is the kind of stuff, just as an example, in case you're not familiar with David Shurter. What he does is he takes already conspiracy stories and inserts himself in it, and also inserts himself with the other people that are also part of this conspiracy diatribe. So let's go ahead and take a look at this for a second. This is fair use. We're just documenting the footage, and here we go.
Connected and the very powerful people who are involved with this.
So tell us a little bit more about how did Antonin Scalia meet you, and what was the context in which he started basically using you as a sex slave?
You realize what they're saying here? Like, they are saying that Antonin Scalia, who was one of the Supreme Court judges that died of natural causes and a heart attack, David's been groomed in this network that also includes the people behind Boys Town and everything else, because he's out in Omaha. He's inserted himself in this story, right? Well, he's also inserted himself in a story about Ivory Gardens and Lori King and her suicide, and apparently that's what he's calling it. I'm not really even sure if that's even true of how she passed. He takes situations and goes off on a whole nother rabbit hole. His book probably is called correctly, because he goes down any made up rabbit hole he wants to make up. Well, David Shurter, that's not my rabbit hole.
Scalia was part of the cult that was killing kids in Hummel Park. And I have a video out describing Hummel Park. I don't necessarily suggest people watch it because I was so angry at the time that I'm very angry. But I'm working with Out of the Gate, and I have part 1 and part 2 of my interview out there. And now we're getting ready to go through and do one all about Hummel Park. And she's actually going to use that whole video and have me re-narrate it because I'm way not angry.
So you notice he's talking about Hummel Park, right? He's talking about so that was one of his first videos that he ever did on his channel. And Hummel Park, if you go into the myth of Hummel Park, there's a lot of stories about Hummel Park. So again, David inserts himself into something that already exists and makes it himself a part of it as well. I think it's a way of anchoring yourself into some sort of folklore that has been that some people believe in.
I filmed that. I had just been coming out, and I got attacked. I mean, boy, when I came out, the attacks are bad now, but I was less used to them when I first came out.
And those videos, on his channel right now, the Hummel Park videos are some of the very first videos that he ever did. And when I looked at them maybe a year or so ago, they were around, I don't know, 24,000, 27,000 views. It's got big views on it. But I mean, it's at the time, and think about it, I think now the market is way more saturated on this type of material. If you go back to David Shurter's kind of OG satanic ritual abuse. So at that time, people were just, what, Hummel Park? Everybody was just naive. We were all just really naive and easily, I think the public was we were more gullible to fall for these kind of things because look, someone like me is not going to know anything about Hummel Park unless I look into it. If you just accept David for what he's saying, or you know something about Bohemian Grove or this or that, people just go, oh, because there's for example, in the super soldier stuff, right? They have a certain folklore that is accepted among themselves. So when you just say those things happening, just like the documentary did, Oki's Weird Stories, how I infiltrated a bizarre conspiracy cult. All he had to do was repeat and act out and just say the same things that other people had already said, and people just went ahead and believed it. So in a way, what David Shurter does is it's a manipulation of people's minds. He puts himself someplace and then he says these things, and the things that he says that are done to children are absolutely horrific. So at the same time, just listening to him is traumatizing at the same time that you're trying to process what he's actually really saying.
So we're going to go through, but Anton Scalia was part of the cult at Hummel Park that was killing kids. And it wasn't just.
And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Also, Isaac Cappy did it. A lot of people do it. They make statements like this and they give no example, no reason, no proof, no nothing. They just say it. He says it like it's a fact, and people just go, ah. And really, the whole hoax of David Shurter, really, maybe the title should be The Hoax of David Shurter. I should just do a complete deep dive on David Shurter. But the whole hoax of David Shurter is because he wrote a book, he somehow has legitimacy. Look, guys, don't be fooled by this. And anybody can write a memoir or a book or whatever. I mean, if you are going to be saying certain things about other people that are not true, yeah, they can sue you for what you said in that book. They certainly can. But it's still it shouldn't give, but automatically it's you writing up for someone like David Shurter, writing a book is like wearing a lab coat if you're wanting to sell medical devices. it's just like a cloak of, like, just because they did that, or just because they're wearing a lab coat, doesn't mean that their product is actually really good. And so I don't think anybody should give David Shurter any pseudo credit at all.
Him, it was very, very powerful people, all kinds of people in Omaha. PJ Morgan, Willie Thiessen, who built Godfathers. He's the founder of Godfathers. Warren Buffett was there. I mean, there were some high.
And notice how, like, Warren Buffett's always there. Warren Buffett
level people there.
Right.
And Anton.
So I guess this happened at Bohemian Grove. Let's continue.
Scalia stood out in my mind because he was very. I mean, yes, he raped me, but what is notable about me with him is that he was sadistic at the same time. I mean, he not only raped me, but tortured me while he was raping me. So when he died,
and so when did this? Because recently on a video, David just said that everything that happened with his past and his family and this and that, it came up in a dream, or it's repressed memories. These are memories that maybe he doesn't. It never really happened. This never really happened, guys. This never really happened, and yet he is on YouTube. And again, David talks about a lot of people that aren't alive anymore. And when you're not alive, you can't go, hey, excuse me, I wasn't at Bohemian Grove and I didn't do that to you.
I came out full force and was talking about him. And I took a lot of heat because a lot of these people had the appearance of being these great guys. Fiona's had to deal with the same thing with Billy Graham. And
now he's going to throw in Fiona because, he's on the same level as Fiona. Fiona had to handle the same thing with Billy Graham, and that's another name drop for him. Okay. And what gets me is how he's going to claim that Fiona was at Bohemian Grove with him as a child. Yes, they were running around together, being abused by the same group of people. Even though she's from a completely different, she's from Australia, and he is an American, and, they've got varying ages. I think David is a bit older than Fiona Barnett. How about he call her Apple? Every time I think of a Fiona, I think of Fiona Apple, but whatever. Okay, anyway, let's continue.
So it's just, that's the whole thing is that when we were kids and we were going through all of this, we were told that no one would believe us. Everyone would think that we were crazy, and they'd all think that we were liars. And to a degree, they were right. It's just that.
Okay, so hi, Seren. Hi. Yeah.
The very well connected and the very powerful people who are.
Yeah, it's a David Shurter Sunday today. I want to go. I'm going to go over the Ivory Garden situation, Seren, because it's not what David says it is, and I could not find an actual link between Lori King and that organization. I found a link between Pat Goodwin, and also underneath the pseudonym of Felicity, which I'm going to show here in just a second. But I could not find a Lori King. And David has used the Lori King thing for like forever. And then see. And the more powerful they are, the more he gets turned on. Diaz tells these stories because he's attacked by the men he mentions. Yeah, there's no evidence of him being attacked by anybody. And the paranoia that David exhibits. Let me just show you. We know we've seen the paranoia. But let me just go to the of some of this. And there's also the, I like this channel because there's no extra music and then I don't have to worry about, because there's some really good channels out there right now covering David and showing him being crazy. I mean, there's this right here. I mean, we've all seen this, but I think I'm just going to show a little bit of it. Him admitting abusing his nephews.
So they made me light someone on fire when I was 10. And as you can imagine, I became pretty much out of control. My parents, my dad and my stepmother couldn't control me. So they decided to take me up and dump me at my sister Kathy's house in Minneapolis. And so when I was 12, I ended up attacking her 3-year-old son. I was 12, he was 3. Doug keeps wanting to say that,
okay, and there he goes. He's gonna blame, he says, yeah, this happened to me. I did do these things, but it's Doug's fault that it's not that big of a deal, and it's Doug's fault that he's bringing that up. I don't know about you guys. I mean, but I find that to be kind of not accepting responsibility and a real big brush off. And it's a tactic that David Shurter does a lot. So I don't know if like in the chat, just put 1 if you agree and 2 if you don't. I mean, like, do you see, like, okay, let me ask, put 1 if you see this, that if you agree that David Shurter uses this tactic over and over again. And I could probably find out more videos on how he does that. So, and really, I think he kind of looks unstable. Here's another one where he's talking about MK Ultra. He's an MK Ultra victim. He's tinfoil in, this one's called David Shurter MK Ultra victim, tinfoil in ears, covering head to stop directed energy weapons. So this is a time where he is acting like, or believing that he's being attacked by directed energy weapons for being a whistleblower, for saying the things that he's said in his book and what he says on his YouTube channels. So let's take a look at it.
Do this video unscripted. At the point of which I am finding myself, it would be hard for me to make any of this make sense. As you can see, I'm sitting here with a hat stuffed with tinfoil in it that is covering my ears. And this must seem pretty strange. And
I mean, guys, he is really a tinfoil hat wearer. How do you feel about that? He is a tinfoil, and I mean, look, even if I had tinfoil in my hat, I wouldn't tell people that I was actually like worried about, being hit by directed energy weapons, that my beanie had tinfoil in it. It would be something that I would hope that I was healthy enough in my mind to know that that's not something you do and make a video about it on YouTube.
you are right. In fact, it is ridiculous that I am at this point. But let me explain to you why I have tinfoil over my ears. For the last couple of weeks, well, actually the last couple of months, I have had pains in my body that I can't explain. I've had bouts of vertigo mixed with waves of nausea, and have found it virtually impossible to sleep, all due to this constant ringing that I have in my ears. Yesterday, I finally went to the emergency room, convinced that I had an ear infection, to be told that my problem was not an infection, but one of pressure. It seems that one eardrum is concaved in so tight you can see every bone in the eardrum, and the other is bulging out. Now, the strange thing is, during the same time period, the animal.
And he has this written down on his paper, all right? He's reading this on a piece of paper for you. I mean, I know I have shown, but I have show notes too, but he has show notes about why he has a tinfoil hat. Like, it's so important to him that he has show notes about it, and he's reading it to you as if it's a factual documentation. I feel like I'm at like a town council meeting, and he's up there, talking to, the Congress members or the, your local chairman. Like, I don't know.
That live in my home have all become sick, and judging from the sounds that they are making in their sleep, they are not having any more restful sleep than I am. This is all due, I believe, to
maybe he should make some beanies for his dogs, okay? Like, if it's that bad, get a blanket, make a tinfoil blanket for them, David. Protect your dogs. Your dogs matter too.
Weird noise that sounds like one that is made by an old television when it's getting ready to go out. A high-pitched, irritating sound that never goes away. This morning, that noise was so loud in my head that I felt like my eardrums were going to pop. And it suddenly occurred to me that I have been here before, as a child, with this same noise and the same effect, which is the reason why I am sitting here with tinfoil over my ears. Because radio waves don't travel well through metal.
Oh my God. Okay, so if somebody wanted to do a documentary on people that had lost their minds and were actually tinfoil hat wearers, if you wanted to let's say you did a documentary on conspiracies, this would be such a great clip of David Shurter talking about why he's actually wearing tinfoil over his ears. Unbelievable. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, somebody help him. Seriously. If I were in the state of David Shurter, I would really hope that my loved ones would go, Terry, you're not really acting normal. This is a moment where, a person needs some intervention. Here, I'm going to skip it a little bit farther.
So if they can make a noise machine like that, what is stopping them from making other noise machines and driving anyone crazy through sleep deprivation who disagrees with the government? Eventually, I would assume.
See, and this is also a running theme with people that like David Shurter or people that tune into situations that David Shurter talks about. Because, see, David Shurter's not the only person talking about satanic ritual abuse on the internet. And, I've even talked about it before on the internet and went into what I thought was my deep dive into it, right? But I guess in a sense, as I went along, I also found those things that went, wait a second. And you know what? A good wake-up call to see the lies about this, what's not real about it, or who's exploiting it. Look no further than David Shurter. If you want to see where this particular topic gets gross and bastardized onto the internet, David Shurter is a perfect example. I could throw out a couple other names too. Let's say Angela Power Disney is really kind of the same person that David Shurter is. And they all came out. They all got a push. And, the media that, believes that it took the red pill and they're breaking out of the matrix. And, it's very much still a knockoff of, let's say, even Coast to Coast. And, because all these things cross over with each other. And, secret governments against the government, a one world order, all these types of beliefs. David is right here. He is tapping into that rhetoric.
Causing death, That would be a good way of keeping a hold on anyone who might want to present a dissenting point of view on any topic that was contrary to the government and what the government wanted. My point of view, okay, my family is involved with the child abduction ring that involves many of the richest and most powerful people in our nation.
And apparently they have all the great technology and they're able to extend their life with med beds too. All right, because that was another thing I was talking about earlier today within the story. Now, I'm not saying, again, guys, all right, I just want to make it really clear. I'm not saying that I don't think that there's anything that satanic ritual abuse doesn't exist. Okay. I am saying that there are several different arguments about it. And I will say this, people like David Shurter doesn't help one think that it's real, because when you catch people in a bunch of lies and just, making up stories on the internet, because here's the problem. The stories can harm people. They can harm their lives. Even just just to hear the words being said about you in a public domain and having somebody scream into a camera about you can be a disrupting experience. It's not something that is, there's an assault that David Shurter does to people from his channel. And let's just look at like a few more examples of that. And I'm hoping that one of the things that I get into is when he talks about, okay, let's talk about his, okay, let's just repeat some of, I want to repeat one of the restraining orders that David Shurter has had. And on one of my other streams, I mentioned about how his stepmother took a restraining order out on him because he shoved and pushed her and was hovering with a knife over her head. And this video, because David saw us talking about it, he doesn't really mention my streams. He pretty much blames Daniel Dowd for everything, and says Daniel Dowd and Geo Farnsworth are showing these videos about me, and I never had anything to do with Pat or my. Well, this is his response. I'm gonna show. This is how. I swear, when I look at this response, I know I'm putting in an interjection on your viewpoint, maybe. But when I look at it, all right, it just reminds me of the kind of response that someone makes if a police officer were interrogating him. It's one of those. I mean, how many? I watch so many true crime stories when the whoever it is, whatever their crime is, and they're being interrogated, they make responses like this. They twist it around so that they're the victim and they had a reason to do what they were doing. Let's take a look at it right now. Wait, here. I believe it's this one.
Blood is awful. So I told my dad, if I really wanted to kill you as a kid, I would have just gone into your dresser drawer and got out your gun. And then the bullets that you had in the drawer above it, I would have just filled your gun and then stood at your doorway and shot you to death while you slept. But you want to know what? That's all incidental.
So he just called his stepmom a slut, okay? And I'm going to say too, like, he's called me names like this on his channel a lot, several times. And he's also called other women this on his channel. So it's pretty abusive, really.
Because none of it fucking happened, There's only one time I ever manhandled.
Here we go. And there's always one time with David. There's always that one time, but now he's going to explain why he had a reason to do what he did. There's a reason for this one time that he did something that, was, I really did shove her, basically. He's going to admit that he shoved his mother. But he had a reason for it, guys.
Stepmother. Only once. And it was because I was coming out of the house. I'd been up all night typing a report for a class that I was flunking. I had a terrible headache. She smacked me on the head and I told her to go fuck herself. And walked out the door. And she followed me, grabbed my arm, and my report that I'd been up all night fell into a fucking mud puddle. And so I will say, at that time, I put both of my hands on both of her shoulders and bounced her against the house. It was the one and only time I've ever touched that bitch. And she was one of my worst abusers.
Bitch. He called her a bitch. He called his stepmom a bitch.
Worst fucking abusers. But you want to know what about that situation? I'm glad it happened. Because it was the last fucking time that bitch ever touched me again. She never once physically touched me again. And why?
Why? Because you got a restraining order against you, David. Like, your mother got a restraining order against you because you pushed her. You physically pushed your mother, your stepmother. She got a restraining order on you. See, this is David's commentary to us talking about this restraining order. This is how David is addressing his followers, his public. Anybody who maybe sees one of our shows and goes, wow, David Shurter has a restraining order from his own mother. And this and let's say they were following it, they're going to find this video. This is his response, man. Wow. I don't know about you guys. One, if you're not convinced. Two, if you are. and you know what? If you are, I might have to time you out on Not My Rabbit Hole. I might have to time you out.
Because at that moment in time, that morning, she and I both realized how strong I was. And had I wanted to hurt my stepmother, there would have been nothing she could have fucking done to stop me because I was way stronger. As it was.
As he's admitting that he's stronger than her. And it's like, look, I wasn't in a mind to kill her. Because I probably could have, is like basically what he's saying. Like, that's even more scarier.
Nothing has ever happened. I'm 58 years old, haven't been a kid. And that all happened when I was what? 17?
No. I think it happened much later than that. I don't know. I'd have to look back at the restraining order and, like I might just do that. I'm sure I have it. I don't think he was 17. I think he was like older than that. Oh my God, he is so angry. Let's go. I have a feeling like somewhere in here. Okay, let's just top this off for a second.
She took that protection order out on me in 2012 because it was right before I had Rabbit Hole published. She was trying to stop.
Okay, so now. Oh my God, that was such a perfect place. There is a God. When stuff like that happens, I know there's a God. Okay, so now she took the protection order in 2012 because he was getting ready to publish Rabbit Hole. So he's not 17. He's not doing a paper that fell in the water, right? That didn't erase that. Now she's taking the protection order out on him. I guess several years later, because the incident happened. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can like claim something that long ago in a restraining order. I don't think so, but I have to double check on it. Okay, so the restraining order, she actually takes the restraining order out into 2012. All right, so David is 58. What would he be in 2012? I mean, I think. See, I am. How much older than am I than him? I'm like 5 years older than him. So, can you believe that? I'm like actually 5 years older than him. Wow. I don't feel like it. I feel like he's older than me. Or seems older than me. So 5 years. So if I was like 52, no, I was 50. If I was 50, he was 45 years old. He was 45. He was 45 years old. Yes, David. 45-year-old man getting a restraining order from his stepmother. Was he like he probably wasn't even living there. Because Rabbit Hole was coming out. Okay.
Rabbit Hole from being published. She was also trying to get rid of my blog. That's what she was doing. She's doing this.
Everybody's trying to get rid of his blog, I guess. Well, you know, when you write good things about people on your blog, people don't really want to get rid of it. But when you're sitting there and lying about them and then putting their name out there in the public domain to where your blog and your filth can be found, I can understand why somebody would want to get rid of your blog. Absolutely.
Same thing now that they're all doing now. You know? Gabe Hoffman just threatened to do it a day or two ago. I got a cease and desist. And now I've gotten a complaint. Didn't do anything, but I got a complaint. They're trying to get my channel down. And maybe they'll succeed. Maybe they won't. But I have a feeling that heaven is about ready to fuck this group up in the business.
All right, so he gets a cease and desist from Gabe Hoffman, and yet today he's still talking about Gabe Hoffman. Interesting. He doesn't know when to quit. He really, I mean, it's pretty ballsy. Okay. Oh wait, there's some that just went up 9 minutes ago on this channel. There's also one where he is here it is. After my husband dumped me. This is where he talks about the Ivory Garden, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But let's look at the new one. There's one that just dropped right now. I want to look at it. Okay, wait. Oh, hey, welcome back, Seren. You have a truck? So, yeah, Seren just came back. Yeah, he shows no emotion. You're right. The line guy is here. That's funny. Okay, here we go.
It's still happening now.
Can you tell us a bit about what you were taught about you, focusing on you being the Antichrist?
Well, we had a lot of my childhood being focused on the Antichrist. I was taught how to murder kids.
By what method?
Generally through very up close and personal daggers. stabbing people, stabbing children, cutting pieces of kids apart.
How many people?
Cannibalism. Oh, I couldn't tell you. You know, I actually asked my sister Kathy if she could remember how many kids died in her childhood, how many murders she was involved with. And she couldn't tell me. Because you would have one night, you would have what they were called was happening. So you would start off with a picnic and it would be great. You know, you'd go to a picnic and you'd eat out and you'd swim and play and all of that. But as it got darker and everyone got more wasted, because people are thinking, oh, well, these are all, you know, a lot of times the people who are involved with all of this stuff were alcoholic drug users as well. And I think that the people had to anesthetize themselves, because you would have one night. I mean, there were times where we would kill 3 kids in a night. And I mean,
Okay, so you get the point. I'm not right now. I'm not going to play all of that. But so let's break this down for a second. So David was hovering over his stepmom with a knife, but here he is talking about using a dagger and harming children. I mean, really, seriously, what I'm curious, what is this guy capable of? What is he capable of? And by the way, I'm going to take just a really quick break. I made a song about his knife usage, because one of the titles of one of the shows I did was Butcher Knife Stepson. And I'm going to go ahead and play, I guess, this one.
I credit Butcher Knife Stepson. Butcher Knife Stepson, where my man Bun.
Wait, I screwed up. I think I had it on the wrong thing. I don't know. I got to get rid of this David Shurter one. Okay, here, wait. I don't know if I want to play that one now. I think I want this one. It's only a minute 15 seconds. I'll be right back.
Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Thinking I'm a G-man, I'm dreaming the big pen. And nobody has fun until I'm done. Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Another restraining on the scum. Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Thinking I'm a G-man, no dreaming the pig pen. And nobody has fun until I'm done. Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Another restraining all the scum. Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Think I'm a G-man, I'm dreaming the pig pen. And nobody has fun until I'm done. Butcher Knife Stepson, wearing my man Bun. Another restraining order scum.
Okay, so I'm back. All right, so I want to play. I'm going to get to the Ivory Garden part. It's like, oh my God. When are you going to get to the Ivory Garden part? All right, so a restraining order showed up, and it was under the name Pat Goodwin. And I'm not going to show the documents because I've already showed it. All right, so you can also go on my community page. It's also posted there, and I showed it in my last video. Because David got a restraining order by this person named Pat Goodwin because he was driving by her house and she was afraid of him. He also broke into her house. He also was constantly emailing her and having other people email her, which is, a tactic that David Shurter does with people. He doesn't just like accuse people of crimes or this and that. He tells people to go do things to them, investigate them. These people need to be stopped. So I could clearly see how he would maybe campaign to do a little bit of harassment or have people join him in that harassment. So we started doing videos showing, several of us started doing videos talking about this and showing the document. And this is his response to it. And he talks about this woman Felicity. If you go to the original video, which I think it's probably sourced in here, we may go there, but this might just give us enough because I just want to give you a flavor of it before I show you some things. He's been talking about a woman named Lori King for a really long time, going all the way back to Max Spears and his interview with Max Spears and not with Max Spears, but his mother after he passed away. He starts the show talking about Lori King and how she died. And Lori King died in October of 2015. Max Spears died in July of 2016. Not really right by each other, but he starts his broadcast off comparing them and saying, now we've lost somebody else. And I guess you can say like a year and a half. It's not within the same year, really. And, Max really doesn't have anything to do with this. And probably Lori King doesn't either, really. Because there's no real link I could find between a woman named Lori King or Lori Sears King, also known as, being associated to this group, this Ivory Garden group. And however, the woman who does have a restraining order on him, when we started showing the restraining order and questioning his association to this woman and Ivory Garden and the Lori King story, because I did show a little bit of the interview. My last show that I did about David Shurter, I showed this part of the interview again, where he talks about Lori King. All of a sudden, Pat, he has, again, David Shurter. Hey, David Shurter, you have a restraining order. This woman's afraid of you. She says you're driving by her house and you broke into her house and you are you're constantly emailing her. Why are you doing this? And so here's the story. Here's David's explanation of who Pat really is and what this restraining order is all about.
First met Felicity online because she was watching me fight with Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Because after I published my book in 2012, it was like a non-stop hornet's nest with that dickhead. Just constant attacks. Constant attacks. And Felicity befriended me online and then convinced me to come visit in Washington. And all the while, my ex, who wasn't my ex at the time, was saying that I should go out there and actually look for property that maybe we could get for vacation, just so we had another place to go. And I thought, that could work. So I get out there, and the day after I get out there, my ex calls me up, says he wants to split up, and then ghosts me. And I
already showed this footage on before, all right, and joked around about it, and how he this is when he broke up with his ex. This is his first time going up to this part of Oregon, and she's been invited up to meet these people, and so what you're gonna find out is like, well, you'll see.
It's a friend who also smokes pot. So I asked Felicity.
I noticed how a lot of things that go wrong in David's life, somehow pot is involved with it. Like, for example, Sherilyn, who, was apparently talking about some marijuana cartridges, and it was being, it would have been illegal to bring it towards him, was like, he is referring to it as a setup, meaning that this is tainting Sherilyn's character now. Before, she was his moderator. She was great. Now this is who Sherilyn is. Now coming to Pat Goodwin, the lady who took out the restraining order, she has an ulterior motive, because basically she was dealing some bad pot.
Get us a bag of pot because it was like, I don't know, maybe a month before everything became legal. And so she did, because everyone up, I figured, So we get this. I'm going through hell because now.
Okay, and let me just, when he's telling me, he's talking about a cannabis story about people up in Oregon. Okay, you know how easy it is to get, at that time, to get cannabis in Oregon. Come on. I worked in Oregon all the time. During this time, probably I was up in that area. Right before legalization, I was there. I was in the Northwest. It was everywhere. Nobody cared. It was, a lot of it was, well grown. The state was way advanced in cultivating it. So even the plausibility of her having to get something late, that wasn't procured correctly, especially during a time of like legalization, everybody is really proud of having really good products. But David's going to paint this as being, he was attacked by this. It's weird how he has this, he wants it. Obviously, when David was arrested, or I guess he was arrested, he was written up for a solicitation, and was also in possession of cannabis. And that was, I think, because I just wanted to go out and smoke and whatever. Sometimes guys that are gay curious are hanging around, and I have a joint and whatever. It was like, it felt like, maybe he had it as, but it was still involved in whatever he got in trouble for. And so I just want to point that out. I find that to be, when we're looking at things, you look at patterns, right? I'm noticing patterns in his narrative. And sometimes when people fabricate stories, or they want to make something seem more serious, they will use a common hook over and over, a thematic hook, in an easy trope to hook people in and possibly believe his narrative.
And a mess with a divorce, and 2 or 3 days after we get out there, my friend who drove out there with me ends up calling me at 4:00 in the morning from the emergency room of the hospital, and they found him all beaten up at the railroad tracks, but he had absolutely no idea how he got there. And it was,
it looks like Surin, that his ex had to trick him to get him out of there. Yeah, it's like, he apparently, his ex was having this relationship, I guess, for 3 months or something like that, or for a while. And so maybe he was wanting to leave the relationship. And then, he said, oh, by the way, it's probably a really great idea that you do meet these people up in Washington with this group. Here's some extra money and get out. And then he was like, oh my God, he's gone. It was like, it was a way for him to make an escape. I rely on patterns to figure things out on the world stage. Yeah. It's always about pattern recognition, even with science. The reason when you have a question is because you notice something, you see a pattern of something. It's the basis of science, really. But humans recognize patterns, and this is like, David has a lot of patterns, I've noticed. He has, I mean, I feel like I could even chart him. I in my I've got him charted just in my head, really, just watching. That it's pretty easy to predict David's next move whenever something is put out towards him. Or if I say something, I'm like, oh, okay, I see this being twisted this way. And usually it is.
It's just a bizarre situation. I didn't understand what the hell was going on at the time. But so my ex helped him fly back home, back to Iowa. And so I'm out there, and my sister is concerned.
Yeah, because he probably got that. This is what I'm seeing now. Okay. That guy, that's a mutual friend of theirs. And he's like, why don't you go out? He may have even known that David was getting dumped, but it was like, why don't you go out? That guy was David's wingman to you know, he's going to be out there and somebody else is going to be with him. He's got a chaperone, and the chaperone lost it apparently.
Because I'm not handling the divorce well. So right after,
or not. Maybe what happened to him and how he lost it had nothing to do with this or Felicity or David. You know, the whole thing is made up. How do we know?
after all of that, she calls the cops. And
How do you take a man who does videos wearing a hat with tinfoil around his ears? How do you take that guy seriously? Come on now. Come on, people. Come on.
it was the first time I ever met Officer Gilbert Lenker. He was Algone, the only policeman that I ever met that I ever found worth a shit. Didn't have any power, couldn't affect anything really. Still a good guy. But he came and then said, just to cross the, T's and dot the I's, can you just take me to the emergency room and have them look me out. And I was just like, okay, fine. I figured we'll get everyone off my ass. So I did. So they tested my blood, and the nurse came back and said, so you told us that you smoked pot, but when did you do PCP? And I didn't have a clue what PCP was. Come to find out, what they explained to me was most likely PCP was all over the pot that we got from Felicity's friend. And that's the reason why my friend ended up at the emergency room.
Okay, so it's Felicity's friend that Felicity made the connection for him to get the so therefore he was attacked by Felicity. See, and that is David's response to all of us doing videos about Pat Goodwin. That's his story. And he's gone to the Ivory, the Pat Goodwin, what is the person, the founder of Ivory Gardens. She's been the only one that's been associated to it, by the way. There's never been a Lori King. Now, there are things that I did find, and I'm going to pull up the website to Ivory Gardens. And it's not really called that. It's got a different title. Let me see. Yeah. It's called the Sanctuary of a Trauma and DID Support Board. Okay. And it says, welcome to the sanctuary. We are honored to open this space and begin welcoming new members into our community, whether you're here to connect, heal, or simply rest. You belong. If you're here following Felicity, she'll be thrilled to see you here, and we are glad that you found your way. The sanctuary staff team is Wendy Knowles, founder, administration, Echo Bloom, founder, administration. So Felicity has left the organization at this point, but it still does exist today. And I'm gonna go into a little bit of reasons why Felicity left. And but yeah, the whole idea about it, I'll just say, it'll say right here. The Sanctuary is a free online peer-led trauma-informed space for survivors of trauma dissociation, PTSD, and related mental health struggles. This is a public area to help you understand our mission, read the rules, and find helpful resources and step-by-step guide to joining. Now, one thing I want to make a point about this website is nowhere does it say satanic ritual abuse. It never uses the word satanic in anything here. So let me continue. We at the Sanctuary love resources. You will find a growing collection of helpful tools, links, and readings shared by both staff and members. You'll find grounding exercises, crisis contacts, books, and more. Members may also share their own creations, including writing, books, and personal resources. Please follow the rules and guidelines in this forum if you have any questions about what, in it. And it's basically a support. They have meetings. You can you just sign up for it. And it's a support system for people that may have DID or have disassociated personalities, things like this, but also people that have been sexually assaulted and maybe as a child. I mean, you name it, trafficking, all of it. It encompasses a large arena of survivors of abuse and sexual assault, and maybe it happened when you were a child, but it's like I said, it's an all-encompassing center that it's a support group for people. All right, it's not exactly as David Shurter has been claiming that it is. It says this forum is for everyday off-topic conversation, including pets, hobbies, parenting, recipes, school, check-ins, and day-by-day life. You'll also find interactive threads like what is on your mind today, daily and weekly prompts, and space to start your own casual conversations. Mostly anything goes here. Come hang out and connect. And it just says like their amount of threads and users online. Felicity Lee. I don't know, maybe she is back, but I found some. See, this is like, it says founded May 26, 2025. So if I feel like this site is fairly new. Now there was another site. What was confusing? Okay, I'll see here in a bit. Yeah. What was confusing about when I was researching it, at first it is a 501c3, but I could only find like this one site that didn't have any other information except the fact that they took donations for certain reasons. And let me find that here for a second. It should just be just a minute. I have all these links down here at the bottom. Okay, yeah, it's an Ivory Garden Square site. All right. That is oh, hey, good to see you back. All right, so here's a Ivory Garden Square site. Okay. Ivory Garden nonprofit group. Thank you for donating to Ivory Garden. Your donations go towards operating expenses of Ivory Garden, including websites, forums, group activity, conferences, etc. Ivory Garden is a nonprofit, charitable, registered 501c3 organization in Washington State. Ivory Garden is a nonprofit, charitable, registered. Okay, and then I looked up these areas. This is just, this is just about like the charities that are registered in Washington. And when I first researched this, because I did do a Gemini search, because I was wanting to figure out who the players behind, like what was the Ivory group. The way David described it, it made it sound like it was just this place where, satanic ritual abuse survivors were trying to get help. And, Lori King, who was the founder at one point, but had a problem with Pat Goodwin, who was Felicity, that Felicity took it over from her. And then she unalivened herself in some hotel and this and that. And I mean, just this I went on a website rabbit hole because, everything that is mentioned about Lori King comes from David Shurter's blog. Everything about Lori King having enlivened herself comes from David Shurter. All of it is like a mythology of David Shurter, but not exactly associated to it. And yet, what is really real is the restraining order between Pat Goodwin, the woman of the real Ivory group, and which has a different name now, basically. And what I thought was interesting about Pat Goodwin, and I want to bring up her site here. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it's up here more. They have a few Facebook pages. And what I thought was interesting was this one about Patricia Goodwin leaving the organization and talking about a woman that was being an imposter to who they were. And I want to share that here. Let me share that with you. Okay. So here I am Patricia Goodwin, the founder, owner, and president of Ivory Garden. I created and maintained the Ivory Garden forums and community for 2 decades in support of survivors of trauma and disassociation. Due to ongoing misuse of the Ivory Garden name and materials by individuals who were not part of its founding or leadership, I have chosen to permanently close the forum and retire the organization. Please be aware, any future use of the name Ivory Garden is not connected to me or the original community. Anyone claiming to represent or continue Ivory Garden is doing so without permission or legal legitimacy. That said, healing continues in new spaces. I've joined a group of trusted people to build something new, a community grounded in safety, honesty, and support. If you're looking for a peaceful, authentic place to connect, join us at the sanctuary, which is like where we were just at. Felicity Lee Patricia Goodwin, MA, founder, past president, present owner, Ivory Garden Nonprofit Corporation. So this is really what's happened to this organization. Ivory Garden shut down due to the ongoing misuse of the Ivory Garden name and materials by individuals who were not part of its founding or leadership. I have chosen to permanently close the forum and retire the organization. So there has been videos of David Shurter. There's been videos of David Shurter talking about this organization, saying that the original person was Lori King, bringing it into this, satanic ritual abuse narrative. David's made Lori King's death mysterious and shadowy, and it's because of this that something happened to her. And it looks like the only way that Pat Goodwin can close out the identity of the Ivory Garden group, right? The only way that could happen. Where was I going to go here? I'm going to go to my board here. I have to go. I want to show you a couple of other things as well from Pat Goodwin. I mean, if she was the owner, she can make those choices. This right here, this symbol is the same symbol. I wanted to save this. It's from their nonprofit group, but it's the same symbol of that other 501c3 that I just showed you earlier underneath the Ivory Garden group. So you can tell. Oh, this is my Facebook. You can tell. This is my Facebook page. Hey. Where am I? I have so many windows open now that it's part of the same thing. So I kept that there. All right, let me close this. There's some windows I should have closed that before the show. Sorry. I'm doing a lot of things today, so forgive me. Okay, and then here she talks about an event. Here's an event that I found about the Ivory Garden in 2018. I'm going to share that. Ivory Garden Nonprofit Corporation. So they did like an event And there's Patricia's name on it. Okay. So, and then on one of the pages, and I don't think I saved it actually. Let me see if I did or not. Yeah, no, yeah, I did. Let me find it. So, yeah, here's what I want to show you before I move on. Close that one. Here's the Facebook page. And right here it says, do not confuse this page with another Ivory Garden page not affiliated with us, run by someone named Sabrina Smythe and misrepresenting herself for personal gain. Contact me with, questions to report that page, that the page is fraudulent. So our business name, Ivory Garden, has been hacked by a previous member. Facebook has contacted the two. Be warned, I have reported the problem. Contact me before interacting with Sabrina Smith or the other account. So I don't know who the other person is. There's nowhere is there a Lori King mentioned anywhere in this, or a Lori Sears. Nowhere. I have looked for it. I've been searching for something. If somebody sees it, let me know. But it's quite possible that the whole Lori King thing never happened. Like, even that is just another made up story in the narrative of David Shurter. Anyway, thanks for listening to Not My Rabbit Hole. I hope that you find some of this content of value today. I'm taking a pause for a second. Let me play a song really quick, and I'm gonna come back just a second. This is something I did on Suno today. I was playing around with songs. I really had fun. I love doing this. I actually asked Gemini to make lyrics out of like everything that I was studying today. And I came up with this one. I think this one's really good.
There's a place called Ivory Garden. It's a digit embrace for the souls with did, finding solace, time and space. They dispel all the mist, educate their minds. The mission's clear and bright. It's a safe haven bridge. The shadow name appeared in stories far and wide of fictional empires where characters would hide, or names in Congress, a different seers, a different king, but no connection to Lori. No truth, the echoes bring the strange death whispers from movies on a screen, not the quiet passing of a life serene. In October 2015, a quiet day it seems. Lorianne Sears King, she passed beyond our dreams. Her obituary filled with words so kind and true. Compassionate, good friend, remarkable, loving view. No hint of mystery, no question in the air, just heartfelt sorrow, a community shared
All right, that one is actually really kind of sappy a little bit. But I'm kind of like really fascinated about like how I like just to like for me to study something and like research something and then go, okay, can you make a song out of this? And the basic consensus is that there's really no connection between Ivory Garden and David Shurter. I mean, the co-founders, anything. There's really no connection in terms of Lori King's death being associated, a woman named Lori King being associated with the Ivory Garden. I do know, like I've double checked on the 501c3, their trademark symbol. I've matched up the trademark symbol to the Facebook page, to the new website. And the only thing that I can see so far is that on the Facebook page, she says, what was the lady's name? Samantha Smith. What's the lady's name again? Sabrina Smith and one other individual are basically cloning them, that they were never part of the organization. She closes it out from the Ivory Garden aspect and continues on with this other website. And in terms of Lori King or Lori Sears, or the woman that David shouts every day alongside Isaac Cappy and Tracy Twyman and Max Spears, it looks like she did not unaliven herself at all. There's nothing in the obituary where people were suspicious about who she was or anything like that. What was I going to show you here again? What did I say? Oh no, I meant to go to David's website. Oh my God, there's like 3 more videos on this one that has started. Let's watch this one, okay? Just while I'm looking.
When you were targeted by directed energy.
I was a victim of these directed energy weapons.
Were you starting to speak out at that time is why you were targeted?
The very first time that I got targeted, it was because I was involved with this investigation, and I was starting to speak out because I had issues with the investigation itself and what was being left out of the investigation. And I suddenly found myself inundated with the sound in my house that was only in my house. I thought it was that I had tinnitus, which is a ringing in the ears, but it was only in my house. That was the only.
Okay, so and then.
But it was really loud at night, and it kept me from sleeping for 2.5 weeks.
That will make anyone have a psychotic break if they can't.
And I just earlier tonight showed you the footage of him wearing a
I ended up at Lasting Hope as they were. I didn't hear that noise when I first got to Lasting Hope, which is the hospital that saved my life 3 times. But the third time, as I was checking into the room and getting checked into the room, I didn't hear that sound, and then suddenly that noise came back.
So
really healthy. There was absolutely nothing wrong with me. All of the doctors and nurses came, and
okay, interesting. All right, and I'll make sure I get like the links to these to you. So I found David's blog about Lori King. Let's just, because this is the, like when I searched on the internet, I was like Lori King, Ivory Garden, founder of Ivory Garden, the only source about this, her having anything to do with Ivory Garden or a mysterious death, the only source out there is David Shurter. The only source is David Shurter. There is no other connection. I just, let me repeat it again. The only source out there of a Lori King being associated to Ivory Garden is David Shurter. And it's only on his blog and his YouTube videos. And here it is. David Shurter writes, the strange death of survivor Lori Sears King, a.k.a. Shadow, one of the founders of Ivory Garden. Lori King was a well-known survivor advocate who is one of the founders of Ivory Garden, who is a nonprofit, which is a nonprofit corporation for victims, who was found dead on October 18th, 2015 in a hotel room in Indian Valley, Virginia. Lori was an administrator of IGDID for 6 years as one of the most influential and effective survivor advocates on Ivory Garden. There is no name on any website or anything associated to this organization of a woman named Lori King. Not one name, not nowhere, not in the Wayback Machine, not nowhere. Okay? I looked today, all day. If somebody finds it, please let me know. But so far, I have not found it. That this woman is even associated, or that she even died by being unalived, by unaliving herself. There is a death certificate for this woman on this date, and there's an obituary of loving comments. That's why the AI in the song picked that up, because that's part of the obituary. The things, it was what was written in her guest book. Those are the things that people wrote. Nobody wrote anything about a suspicious death or it shouldn't have happened. It's tragic. Nothing. It was all these loving things about it, what a loving person this woman was. And here's David Shurter associating this woman in this story, this diatribe, this reason to come and persecute other people as being responsible for being the people that are behind this thing that happened to this woman that never really happened with a group that she was never associated with. Do you see what I'm saying here, guys? I mean, Give me a thumbs up on the video if you see what I'm saying here. I would really, it would be good to know that confirmation of going, this whole thing is just completely fabricated. And though the only thing that is really real is that the woman, Pat Goodwin, who is also known as Felicity, who really did have this group, that she closed down because people were impersonating and taking over and leading it in the wrong direction, and started the other group, the Sanctuary, with the same premise, helping people who are survivors of trauma, of sexual abuse, for people in a large palette of, it doesn't matter what your reason why, to go in and get help for trauma. She's doing a service to somebody. That woman got a restraining order on David Shurter. And David Shurter, his response to that is that Felicity sold him some bad pot.
He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game, sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lulz, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole.